Yo, what is going on, guys? Winner Kills here, and welcome to a brand new locals feature match. Here we are in round 3, where we have two good friends of mine on the camera. My friend Johnny on the left on the Evil Twin deck, which he's very close to actually max raritying the deck, getting those Starlight Trouble Sunnies, absolutely gorgeous. And my good friend Dan, our resident PK Overlord, playing the Phantom Knight deck on the right. And as these guys get ready to go ahead and start the match, let's take a look at the poll results. As I'm recording this, which is like probably a week before this gets uploaded, there's about 400 votes or so, and a large majority of the votes going to PK, which is, in my opinion, not a surprise in the slightest. So we're going to see the die roll here, rolling an 8 for Evil Twin, and then PK rolling a 5. So we will see Evil Twin win the die roll. It's going to be pretty relieving to win the die roll against a deck like this. Picking up Crossout Designator, blue, and a copy of Trouble Sunny. So a very, very hand trap resilient hand. We're going to see the Ash go through on the normal summon, which I think is a pretty okay thing to go ahead and Ash, because once the Link engine gets rolling, Ash becomes pretty much useless. But he does have the extender in that of the Sunny Snitch, which I think I might have called Trouble Sunny just a moment ago. But regardless, we're going to see him add the Treat, and Treat will special summon itself to go ahead and link into the red. Red will bring back blue, and then linking into blue. Blue brings back red to go ahead and draw a card. And we know he has Cross Out in hand and an Imperm, I believe. And then we're going to see him link off the red and the blue, of course, for the Trouble Sunny, to have the opportunity to bring both of them back during the opponent's turn. To go ahead and get a pop and a draw, which doesn't seem like a lot. It really isn't a lot. Like, this deck doesn't do a whole lot. When you look at just the engine itself, like 99% of the time you're playing through a pop and they get a draw. That's like really about it. And then maybe you're taking some burn damage mid combo. Like, that's really about it. Like, the engine doesn't do a whole lot. It's the hand traps that the deck can play. The engine is so small that it can play a massive range of hand traps, and it's why I think it's like probably one of the best decks to be able to play Crossout Designator in our current format, because the engine is so small, because it's already playing so many hand traps, and on top of that, the engine itself is very fragile to hand traps. Like, one Nibiru is like pretty much game over, or even just like imperming the link 4 at the start of your turn. It like forces it out, and then they don't get to pop, and then they just get a draw, and at that point you've literally outed the entire board, and that's really about it. So we'll see him end in the standard end board, 2 set, one of which is a cross out, the other imperm. We're going to see our PK player start things off here very, very explosively with a copy of Tour Guide going into Graph, and then we'll see him go ahead and set a card before he links into the Cherubini to ensure that if he has a effect that would destroy the Cherubini, he can actually go ahead and protect it by sending off that set card, whatever it is. We'll see him activate Cherubini here now. After the Graph goes ahead and successfully summons the Seer, we'll see him dump a copy of Cloak to the grave. A nice little, another PK Rhoda in the grave now as a result of Cherubini. And we'll see him activate the Cloak, and that is going to go ahead and search a copy of Shade Brigadine. And in response to that, we're going to see him activate the Treat in grave. Since the opponent added a card from his deck to his hand, he can go ahead and banish it from the grave to go ahead and draw another card. So just more chances here to draw into hand traps, and if the Trouble Sunny does tag out successfully, obviously there's a chance at another draw into another hand trap. And that's one thing that's going to do a good job at slowing down the PK strategy, is hand trapping it a lot, because you will need to hand trap it a lot. Because if you don't, it's probably going to be able to play through whatever hand traps you were able to throw at them. Also, our evil twin player is keeping track of the amount of times the PK player has summoned, so they can do the life points later on instead of having to do it every single time somebody summons a monster. So to reflect that, I will change the life points once it is time to not spend a bunch of extra time editing, changing the life points every time somebody summons, or our PK player summons, and that'll be a lot of times, I imagine. So we're gonna see the Breaksword, actually go ahead and remove a droplet, which I thought it was a cross out, but I guess he must have cross out in hand still. So possibly imperm and droplet set. And then we're going to see the unicorn here go ahead and try to clear out the other back row. So yeah, we're going to see a lot of resources being used to go ahead and clear out these two back row before he can go ahead any further and keep pushing into the board. Because at this point, again, the only thing he has to play through is another pop with the Trouble Sunny, which is, you know, probably not going to be too problematic here. He does have a copy of Gloves and Stained Greaves in the grave, which isn't a lot, but it could potentially be enough. We're going to see him go Link 4 into Access Code. It's another summon there on the counter. I believe that puts it up to 10 counters, I believe. And then we're going to see the Seer go ahead and revive the Cherubini. And it looks like on resolution, we're going to see the Trouble Sunny activate, going Droplet, Pitch, Droplet. Now, this was something that they wanted me to bring up, is that the Trouble Sunny tributes for cost. This is something they both forgot in the moment. It happens. So he would not have been able to Droplet the Trouble Sunny, because again, it does tribute for cost, but he would have been able to go ahead and Droplet the blue Evil Twin that nets him the pop of the Access Code on res there. So I don't think it would have mattered ultimately, but I just wanted to go ahead and point that out. And once the Sunny Snitch gets destroyed by the Access Code, we're going to go ahead and see the life points here apply. So that is a 4,000 life point difference, just like that. 2,000 points of burn damage and 2,000 life points gained for our Evil Twin player, just like that. And now we're going to see the Gloves dump Wings. Wings will go ahead and banish itself to revive the Breaksword. And here we can go ahead and see a Link 3 play into Rusty. So playing through the board super easily here. And like I said, again, the Trouble Sunny should have tagged out for cost. It's something they wanted me to bring up. But luckily, I don't think it would have made too big of a difference here, because the Access Code would not have gotten popped with that Droplet still being in play. And in the battle phase, the Rusty and the Access Code would be able to clear both the red and blue. So we're going to see Rusty resolve here, dumping a copy of Boots, and we'll set a copy of Fogblade as a result. Fogblade being a pretty decent card against this deck. Just any sort of on-field effect negation going to be very, very solid. And this Trouble Sunny, for the sake of the video, is going to be, you know, halved, even though it technically shouldn't be on the field. It is halved. So we're going to have to sort out the life points difference there. So we're going to go ahead and see the battle phase happen here. Access Code into the Trouble Sunny. And then the Rusty in for 2,100, dropping his opponent down to 4,250. And then we're going to see him banish the Boots in main phase 2 to go ahead and set a copy of the Fogblade. And so now has basically 2 copies of Imperm set, and probably going to be pretty hard to play through. Since the Evil Twin deck is so reliant on its normal summon. But we'll see if he potentially has an out. And he does have follow-up with the Rusty being on field, as it is a once per turn effect that he can use every turn. I don't know how much follow-up he has in the grave at the moment. I know Cloak, Gloves, and the Boots have all been banished. I know there's a Stained Greaves in there still, so that could act as an extender. But we're going to see our Evil Twin player start with the Trouble Sunny Graveyard effect, dumping the Evil Twins, Kiss a Kill, and Lila from the deck to the grave to go ahead and send a card here. And I imagine we'll see him send off the Access Code, because, I mean, they do have an out to it, but they're going to take a lot of damage if they go ahead and use something like Gachi Gachi Gentensu to go crash into it, or something like Sky Cavalry. And you definitely don't want to just leave Rusty on field. So we'll see what he decides to send here. And it looks like he's deciding that it is not going to be enough regardless, as those 2 Fog Blades are going to be hanging around in the back. Even if he gets rid of one, he still has to worry about the Fog Blade and the Rusty and the Access Code. So we're into a Game 2 situation. And like always, a quick shout out to Imperium Duelist, guys. Don't forget to use my discount code WinterKills10 off at checkout if you are shopping on their site to save 10% off your entire order and support the channel. And if you guys are buying anything on TCG Player, Please don't forget to use my affiliate link. Anytime you guys shop and check out using that link, a small bit of the revenue from your purchase goes right back into the channel and helps out a ton. And that link is in the description of all of my videos. So we're going to see our Evil Twin player here go into the red, I believe, into Treat. And we're going to go ahead and see him link off into the red. And red is going to revive Treat. And then linking both of those off for blue. And blue, of course, will revive the red. And red will net him a draw. And, yeah, this is the point where, like, if you have Nibiru, you're probably going to go ahead and use it. And this is a good idea, too, because you don't want to put the Trouble Sunny in the graveyard for them to be able to, like, freely Monster Reborn if they play it. Or, you know, have access to the graveyard effect to be able to, like, send off the Nibiru or use it during the next turn as, like, a bit of removal. Yeah, Nibiru really, really good against this deck. Now, they can play through it, but they do need a very kind of specific hand. They need Home, I believe. The Quick Play, which does require a discard. It's basically kind of like a worse in-themed E-Telly. And if they have like another extender hand, they can technically keep going. And it looks like he does have Home. And he's going to go ahead and discard a copy of Crossout Designator. Which I'm guessing he didn't use Crossout there on the nib because he had a way to keep going through the nib. That's going to be my guess, because I feel like he could have definitely crossed out. And speak of the devil, there's the Monster Reborn. So the Monster Reborn is going to bring back blue and is going to pop the nib, so no wonder he didn't cross out the nib, because he has a way to play through it. So let him burn the hand trap and keep the Crossout Designator for a following turn. So we're going to see him still get into Trouble Sunny, all things considered here. And we're going to see our PK player lead with Droplet, pitching a Tour Guide here, and at the start of main phase. And since our PK player does have turn player priority in main phase, he can go ahead and just start with Droplet. And since he pitched a monster, he will not be able to respond. And he does open up Tour Guide Kagamucha. My man Dan does this too often to people, absolutely savaging them with the Tour Guide Kagamucha. Has like 4 defensive cards and then just Tour Guide Kagamucha. That is really all you need at the end of the day. Very, very disgusting 2-card combo. We'll see him link it to Cherubini, Graph resolving to go ahead and spec out the Seer. And then it's just kind of cleanup at this point. I mean, I don't know if he'll be able to OTK. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he could OTK. So we're going to go ahead and see him dump the gloves off of the... Okay, well, a Lancia from our Evil Twin player is going to make things a little bit different here. If that Lancia wasn't there, I would say this would be a very, very swift OTK. But Lancia is going to make things a little bit more difficult here for our Phantom Knight player. So we'll see what he's going to go ahead and do from here, since all of those extenders in the graveyard are now turned off, including obviously the gloves that he just sent off the Cherubini. And I mean, I don't really think he has any other PK names there, honestly, besides that. But he does have access to a rank 3. He does have access to Rusty. Could go for Unicorn to possibly remove the Trouble Sunny, not putting it into the graveyard to be able to have it use its removal effect on the following turn. So we'll see what he's going to go ahead and do from here. I imagine we could see a Dante. Dante could go ahead and mill into some more resources, possibly hit a Skarm for follow-up, and then Battle Phase, allow him to get access to Zeus with Downard, and that could just outright be enough. So we are going to see him go for the Dante here. Obviously, Leviaire is not going to be an option being under Lancia. And we will see Dante detach the Seer, of course, and going to mill 3, Nibiru, Boots, and Cloak. Okay, so a bit, you know, bittersweet as he revives the Graph off the Seer. But this is a little bit of a, you know, point of concern for our Evil Twin player, because they won't be able to be used now, but that is going to be tremendous follow-up in the graveyard for our PK player on his next turn. So that puts our Evil Twin player kind of on a clock. We're going to see Rusty try to activate, and Ash is going to be burned on the Rusty, last card in hand. So now our Evil Twin player is top decking here, which is not exactly what you want to see. And the Trouble Sunny is halved right now because of the droplet, so both Rusty and Dante can get over it. And he does have the treat engrave, which actually will come up here. So if he attacks over the Trouble Sunny, whatever damage he takes from that attack, he can make one of his opponent's monsters lose the attack of the damage he took permanently, which I think here ends up being a total of 850. So I believe Rusty loses 850. So Dante will swing over, Treat will activate, and then he'll take the extra damage there, which I think drops him down to like 5,900, I want to say. Yeah, all these 50s, right? Something nobody ever wants to calculate in Yu-Gi-Oh! I know I hate dealing with 50s because math is already hard enough as is, right? So yeah, the Trouble Sunny is at the 1650, and then the Dante will attack over at 2,500. So to take 850, Rusty will lose 850, so that'll put it down to 1250. So we'll take 1250 from 7150, and yeah, and putting him down to the 5,900. So he will go ahead and obviously at the end of the battle phase turn Dante to defense, and of course we'll probably see the Downer Magician here, and into the Zeus. And a top deck, like, no matter what you top deck at this point as the Evil Twin player, I just don't see how you really win here. Well, I mean, that's technically not true, because if he draws a starter, right, if he draws a starter, he could go ahead and use Trouble Sunny to send the Zeus, by dumping Evil Twins, Kiss a Kill, and Lila from the main deck, and then normal summon the starter, and that gets him access to his entire engine, but he does not find it. He top decks Crossout Designator. There was a way to win there, but he did not see it, so PK going to take that match 2-0. Looks like you guys were correct in the polls, and if you guys want to see more of my content, click on one of the videos popping up on the bottom of the screen right now, and last but not least, a special shout-out goes to our Divine Level channel members, and they are Cadillacs84, Pony Start, Keith Sidgers, Tweeter0226, and Black Ninja Money. Thank you guys so much, as always, for your extremely generous support.